Morning, Pastor Steve here. Flip over to Esther, the 4th chapter, if you will. Now remember Esther? Haman's plot to destroy the Jews had been discovered by Mordecai, and he asked Esther to go in and to petition the king for her people's life. This could cost her life, remember, because it was against the law for her to do that. Then Esther spoke, beginning with verse 10, to Hathach, and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and for the people of the king's provinces know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law: put all to death except the one to whom the king holds out the golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king for 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain completely silent this time, relief and deliverance will arise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go, gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan, and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. I've often wondered at this young woman. Her uncle had chosen to stay in Persia and not go back to Israel, and there was a wave of people that went back. There were many who had stayed. I wondered, but then I realized then that God had set the stage to use her to rescue his people at this time. She was highly favored by her husband, the king, and Uncle felt it was her duty to use her position to save people. I imagine it was with a lump in her throat that this young woman chose faith over fear. Don't think she was ignorant of the law. As we saw, she was in a position to save and had counted the cost. And her words ring down through the ages. If I perish, I perish. Oh, how like the Savior who would come. In a position to be the one who could save us all from eternal hell. And he, like her, said, I'm not thrilled by this death and taking on the guilt of the world. If there's any other way, Father, please do it. But not my will, but thine be done. Esther was spared and saved her people. Jesus was not spared, and that is the only way his people could be saved. I have to ask myself from time to time, how deep is my love and commitment to God's people? Would I stand in the face of criticism, never mind death, and do what it takes to see Christ formed in people? Would I stand up in the face of death and stay firm in the faith of Christ? I tremble at the martyrs who were burned at the stake. Bishop Latimer and Ridley were convicted of preaching the gospel, and the royalty in the church sentenced them to death. What a fearful death. Ridley had a slow, painful death, and as the end approached, Mr. Latimer encouraged him, be of good comfort, Mr. Ridley, and play the man. We shall this day light such a candle by God's grace in England as I trust shall never be put out. Oh, Lord, may I have a faith like that in these days. You ponder that.